You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And welcome back to the program, joined now by Arkansas Attorney General Tim Griffin. Always good to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you, my friend.
All right.
Sorry I had to dress up today.
Well, you know, I dress up every day.
I normally like to wear the jeans and hide them under here.
That is your normal towards the weekend
Look,
attire.
this is what I wear all weekend, right?
All right. The Supreme Court of the United States has been quite busy this past week. I just want to single out one ruling that happened because there was some legislative action in this space as well on affirmative action. Did the Supreme Court end affirmative action in your mind, or did they just overturn race-based decision-making for colleges?
Well, as it applies to, as it involves race, I think they put a big marker down to say, look, the Constitution is colorblind. And, you know, I remind people that the Constitution doesn't say what we want it to say. It says what it says. And so I'm not surprised by this ruling. In fact, we had several issues here in Arkansas that involved minority set-asides. Like, you have to have pigment in your skin to get this job. You have to be of a certain race to get this job. We knew that was not going to fly. We thought that that's where this opinion was going, and that's exactly what they said. And I'm thinking in particular about the minority set-aside for the Minority Health Commission, and we settled a lawsuit on that. So, not surprising, and I think it's a good decision.
Do you think that the playing field is level for people in terms of color in the state?
I think that legally it is. Legally it is. But the law, sometimes there is a difference between law and reality, and sometimes there's not. I think that is every family able to provide the same opportunities? Of course not. But that's not a constitutional issue. That's a societal issue. But in terms of the ability of people of color to become president of the United States or anything else they want to become, I absolutely believe that is 100% possible, and I don't even have to opine on that because we've had a president of the United States. So look, Morgan Freeman has a lot of great comments on this, and I think what basically he has said is, look, there are so many examples of people of color succeeding in this country, and at its core, I think it is more damaging to have this artificial carve out than it is to just let the Constitution truly be colorblind, which is where we're going.
Well, he played God, so, you know, in a movie. All right,
he did indeed.
Your FOI, Freedom of Information Act working group, is more of a kitchen cabinet, if you want my personal opinion on this. You can call it however you want to, but it's not going to submit a report to the legislature, I don't think. It's not going to put anything formal out there. What do you want this group to do?
Give me advice on what we can do to improve our FOIA law. You know, some people want to treat the FOIA law as if it belongs between the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, and in Washington, the archives. But the fact is, it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect, and it has been updated over the years. And we're looking to make sure that we do that. We look at all the opportunities to do that. Again, you know, I would bring your attention to something that a lot of the, quote, experts on FOIA probably aren't even aware of, but there was a report on FOIA by the Electronic Records Study Commission back in 2000. They made recommendations for amendments to the FOIA. And one of the things they said is individual privacy issues may need to be reconsidered and rebalanced against public access in light of emerging technologies.
Sure.
That's what we're doing. And we're looking at that. We're going to look at everything else. But these are people who are meeting with me to give me advice. And one thing I want to mention that really is driving a lot of my interest here was the ransomware issue with Little Rock School District. So Little Rock School District was a victim of ransomware, and the way the FOIA law is currently written, they have to discuss their strategy on dealing with ransomware in public. That's ridiculous. That's like asking the U.S. Army to strategize and plan a battle in public. No, wrong. We've got to change that. And this really came to my attention. I read some about it in the paper, but then Senator Clark Tucker asked for an official opinion. And we said, yes, your understanding is right. There are no exemptions for discussions like that being private. That is Exhibit A, that perfection has not been reached, and we need to look at ways to bring it into 2023.
Let's address some of the criticism that's come from people that don't like what you're planning to do here. One of the things is that you're going to be meeting in private with these people for this advice that you're going to be seeking, and not in public. You could do both. You could have some public meetings with this group if you wanted to, and you could have some private meetings with this group. Would you consider that?
I don't think I need to. I meet in private in my office all day, every day. This is not a reality show. I literally have hundreds, if not thousands, of meetings every year, and they're not public. The law doesn't require they be public. The law doesn't contemplate that they be public.
I'm just asking you from a PR perspective.
Yeah, I do a ton of stuff publicly. Well, let's talk about what's public. So,
well, I don't want to go deep into that.
I didn't have to tell people I was having people over for lunch at my table.
Right.
I have lunch at my table with people. I did it because I knew there are a lot of people interested. I think some of the people who have raised the most stink would not have raised the most stink if they would have been at the lunch. But I understand they want to know what's going on. Look, there are a lot of meetings I wish I was in. But the bottom line is these are folks that are going to give me advice, and I can take it or leave it. Right. 2 of them are staff, 3 of them are legislators.
It's a sensitive topic, so you understand where the criticism's coming from here.
I do, but let me just say this. The law doesn't require or contemplate it being public. If all of my meetings like this were public, it would be completely unworkable.
Sure.
And that would be like the governor and every other elected official inviting the public into every meeting.
You want to address some things that are out there that haven't been contemplated in the law. I get the example that you brought up right there, but can you commit to saying on this show today that you will not allow the FOI law to be weakened in the state of Arkansas?
Well, I don't know what weakened means. If that means, if weakened means no amendments, no changes, well, I'm not going to promise that because that's the whole point of this.
Sure.
Of this.
If weakened means limiting the amount of access that the public can have to public records, would you allow that to happen?
Well, I'm going to allow it to happen with ransomware. I just said that.
Yeah.
So
can you think of other circumstances?
No, I can't. But this is the whole issue. The people who don't want to have a conversation about FOIA, what they really mean is they don't want anybody to do anything. And there are people that make money off FOIA. Mm-hmm. They don't want the money gone that they're making. And there are people who have a vested interest in FOIA. We all have an interest in FOIA, in making sure we have a robust FOIA law. But I'm not going to prejudge what the people on the advisory, on the working group come up with. But let me just say this for the public who may not know. The working group has on it the executive director of the Arkansas Press Association, the #1 defender and guardian of the FOIA, okay? And John Tull, who is the #1 or co-guardian or #2 guardian of the FOIA, and others, certainly. Because unlike some of the other groups that talk about FOIA, my group's not one-sided.
Yeah.
My group will have critical thinking and problem solving.
All right, I've got to take us out of this interview on air, but will you stick around for a little online extra after this?
Yes, we went too long. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Attorney General Tim Griffin, thank you. As always, we're back with more right after this. With a Web Extra with Arkansas Attorney General Tim Griffin. We ran out of time on air, so just wanted to throw one more topic out there for conversation. You had a big guest commentary in the National Politico magazine this past week talking about political fundraising scams. You have a beef with these people that promise to match donations
Yeah.
What I get these things every day, so I'm
Perfect
familiar
day
with
to
them.
talk about it.
Yeah.
This is the last day of the month, of the fundraising month. It's the last day of the fundraising quarter. Look, you've probably gotten emails that say, if you give this amount, it's going to be multiplied 10 times or 15 times or 5 times or whatever. The other way they put it is impact. So instead of saying match, it'll be, we're going to have 1,500% impact or 2,000% impact. The implication is you don't have to give much, because email fundraising is primarily low dollar donors anyway.
Right. $5, $10.
Yeah, 5, 10, 25. We know you're not going to get much. You're probably not going to get much, but don't worry. If you give a little, it's going to have a big impact, because we have people who are matching. Well, the scam is no one's matching. That's a lie. Virtually, in no case anywhere is anyone matching.
Who would match?
No one's matching.
Yeah.
And how do I know no one's matching? Because someone proposed that I do an email like that in my campaign, which we did not do. And we asked them who was matching. And the consultant said, oh, no one is.
Right.
No one's matching anything. Everybody does this. So it's fraud in the inducement. It's lying to people to get their money. And it's been going on for several years. It's not always been this way.
It's a deceptive trade.
It's a deceptive trade. It's also, I can make the argument under Arkansas law that it is theft, because you're using deception to take the property of another.
What's going to be your process for addressing these people?
And
where do the complaints come from? Do they come to you from the general
Where do
public?
any
Or
complaints
are you
come
guys
from?
researching who's doing them?
If they come into my inbox, they came to me. I mean, look, wherever you learn of stuff, that's fine. So here's the process. I've already gotten some emails since then. And if you read my op-ed, you saw I didn't name names, because there's a lot of people doing it, both parties. I didn't name names because I wanted to provide a notice that, hey, after this op-ed in a national magazine where all the operatives and political people read it, if you do it after this, we're gonna start going after it. So we've already got some that have continued.
The process is?
The process is I will write them a letter with a copy of my op-ed. I will ask them to cease and desist. And if they continue, then we'll do what comes next.
Let's assume, and that would be suing them, right? Taking them to court?
We will get a little more aggressive with our conversations.
Well, what does that mean?
Well, sometimes we're able to convince people to do things without spending dollars on litigation.
Gotcha.
And that would be preferable, because it gets the same result and saves taxpayer dollars.
You would be willing, though, to pursue legal action against a Democrat or a Republican if they don't?
Count on it.
Okay. All right. Attorney General Tim Griffin.
Count on even you. If you start,
I'm not soliciting anybody for money.
Soliciting money for
But
matches,
I'll start sending you all of the donation requests that I get, though. I'll just clear out my spam folder and
will
send
you
it to you.
still have me on if we go? Oh my gosh!
All right. Thanks for being here. Thanks for doing the extra. All right.
You're the
Appreciate
man.
it.
Thank you.